Dispatch said to evacuate and have everyone evacuate, which is, I guess, their way of saying pull the fire alarm. We said exactly what it was. The hallway was filled with smoke. It was like an electrical fire. My dad pointed out that they had to put these signs all over because the water ran this way, and I'm assuming it was all backed up. Hello guys, I'm just gonna put on my sunglasses because it is super sunny. So this is going to be another update on my building situation here in South Florida in Sunnyislesbeach, as you know, regarding the construction work and the 50-year recertification. These are the porta potties, and it's very frustrating because I have no idea what's happening. We have always things happening at this building, from the elevators not working to the elevator. It feels like it drops for a second. One of them slams and doesn't seem to see you as it's coming in and out. You're coming in and out of the elevator. Floors are filthy. The halls, cleaning people don't clean. To the point of like where there's like dead squished bugs. Maintenance is $818 a month. Should actually be over $1,000 because it doesn't properly account for what will be the shortfall in insurance, which they said they wanted to hold off on because they were just hoping that the construction work would be done and then we'd get a quote from the insurer. It's like, how? There's no construction workers here. First I thought, as I mentioned before, that maybe the holidays they were gone, or then give it some Miami time. Eventually they'd show up. They haven't been back. They actually, 2 workers, I'll insert, I think I took a photo of them, and they were here yesterday to adjust the blue tape that goes on the windows to protect the windows. And I don't really know what they were doing. They seemed to only do it on one window, and then I think they left. So I don't know if they were adjusting to remove the scaffolding. I have no idea. It was just like these 2 random workers that showed up to have a ladder, and then they put some blue tape on a window, so I don't really know what that means.
That's not working.
No. So again, I've talked about in my other videos why it is that, I can't sell right now, because it's not worth enough to switch somewhere else and transition somewhere, especially with the current state of the building. The building had been in top-notch shape, it'd be worth another $100,000 and would easily sell because it's in Sunny Isles, where the prices are so much higher, and then I would be able to at least consider that. But right now that's not an option. I mentioned in the past, these things that have happened in my building where, as you know, there's a lot of assessments and different things happening all over South Florida with condos. It's funny how I actually have to wait for a boat to pass, not a motorcycle. Not a motorcycle though, it's a boat. The Condo Association tried to do something where they put out a notice and it said, we voted on it, we decided no one can sell their unit until every single bit of different assessments are paid up front. In other words, you can't take it out. They said you cannot take it out of closing, you cannot take it out of escrow, and then where it's dispersed to the Condo Association, which is obviously not allowed and certainly doesn't sound legal. And I got an attorney that took care of that. And then it was a mistake. But that shows you what the kinds of things they were trying to do. Because I remember in the Zoom session, someone asked, well, what if we can't pay? What if we fall behind and we want to sell our unit? And at the time, the board member came back on the Zoom session and said, well, then we'll foreclose and take your unit. It's like, that sounds like some shady bleep.
They also said on the Zoom session that this is a very
valuable property. They said it's a very valuable property in a Zoom session. So there's no word on the construction here or the update on that because there's no word. And no, we can't ask them because they just yell at you. And so I'm kind of down in the dumps of, it's just like a lot. There's a lot that's potentially going well, but it's just like I'm dealing with a lot all at once, and I think that all that will get rectified in the next couple weeks. But last night, one of my neighbors decided to, apparently they were burning sage. So we were in our apartment and we smelled, what's funny is like I had put on a new skincare product, and I was like, I had it on for like 20 minutes, and I was, I always get weirded out by trying these new products. So I'm like, I started to like smell this weird, like burning smell. Like it almost smelled like an electrical fire. And I started freaking out, like, is it my skin? Is it like a weird skincare product that's reacting with me or something? It got stronger very quickly, and we went out into the hall. The entire hall was filled with smoke. So immediately freaked out. The whole hall was filled with like a white smoke. And so I figured it was an electrical fire because you had an incident a while ago with a woman down the hall who something was burning and she took it out in the hall filled with smoke. She threw it on the floor. And so, you obviously have to take those things seriously. And so when we got out into the hall, the neighbor came out also, took it seriously, banged on the neighbor's unit because you don't know if they're incapacitated, you don't know what has happened of the one that we suspected it to be coming from. And they opened the door in a lethargic state, almost not comprehending. So that didn't really tell us anything. We don't know if there's a fire and you're trying to not disclose it because you don't want anyone to know that there's a fire. That the neighbor banged on the unit's door because we didn't know what was happening. That's what you do. So we called 911. And what was weird is like the first time we called, it didn't actually go through, which was like your nightmares you sometimes have, or it just didn't go through. And then called again, and dispatch said, basically to evacuate and have everyone evacuate, which is I guess their way of saying pull the fire alarm. We said exactly what it was. The hallway was filled with smoke.
Smells like an electrical fire.
Smells like an electrical fire. Those were the facts. We didn't see flames, but you don't wait with things like that because it could engulf. If it was in the event it was a kitchen fire and it was not a false alarm, you could be done within a few minutes. So pulled the fire alarm. We ran out. A neighbor ran out. A lot of unit owners opened their door and were very annoyed. They just did not care. It's like you understand that the hallway is filled with smoke, right? And so they came, and the building security guard immediately tried to hush it down. It's a false alarm. So when we got down to the lobby, before we even got down to the lobby, walked downstairs, weirdly, the fire alarm had stopped. I don't even know if the light was going off anymore, but it was stopped. I don't know who stopped it. At that point, the building had not officially been cleared, so it shouldn't have been off. So get to the lobby. Police are already there. They came very quick. They must have been down the street. And told them where to go. Told the fire engines where to go when they got here. Everyone took it pretty seriously. The first thing they ask you on dispatch is, how big is the building? We said it's 16 floors, over 400 units. They sent 2 fire trucks. The security girl, she tried to be like, it's a false alarm. No, there's no issue. And so the fire department said, even if it was a false alarm, we have to go up there. We have to clear it. We have to get in the unit. We have to make sure that there's no electrical fire or situation, that we are not going to take your word for it. And in the event somehow the smoke dissipated, it's we need to get in the unit and we need to see what's going on. So they did that. We didn't let anyone up the elevators. And it took them a little bit to clear it because they had to go up. And then they had some difficulty putting back together the pole that we pulled. You're gaslit a lot because we got into the lobby. One of the board members was ranting false alarm and people making issues out of something that's nothing and you're all crazy. It's there was smoke. The entire hallway was filled with smoke. We are taught when we are very young, you smell fire. The hallway fills with smoke. If it's possible, you pull the fire alarm. At the very least, you get yourself and your loved ones out. You don't say to yourself, in the event it was a false alarm, I am embarrassed, or I called, or I inconvenienced the emergency service. That's their job. Of course, you don't want to call if there's no reason for them to come, but that is their job. If you believe that there is a fire, you call. because we're not going to wait for the building to be engulfed and be like, I think I should call. You call because you could be saving people. It's like the hallway is filled with smoke, and it smelled of what smelled like an electrical fire, which turned out to be one of the lovely neighbors burning a whole lot of sage, because I've seen shows and TV shows and stuff where like the person burned sage and is like, I bless this house and all that stuff. And I have never seen a situation where the entire floor fills with smoke. So I don't know what exactly they did, but
affected us.
it made us loopy for a couple hours. I researched that and it says it could do that. Yes, it's always a good thing when it's a false alarm and no one got hurt and nothing burned down. I had a similar situation happen when I lived at another building. I talked about in a previous video, down the street was a more luxury building at the time when we were more affluent, called the King David. We had only been living in the apartment maybe a week and a half. And in that situation, I heard the unit's individual fire alarm going off in the unit smoke monitor. And it was a very faint noise. And I ran to my dad and I said, I hear something. Ran out because I happened to be in my room. If I had been in the shower, you realize if I had been in the shower, we had not been home, we would have had a fire. So we went out in the hall, and there was smoke coming out of the unit next door underneath, and you could feel heat. And in that case, the kitchen had a grease fire on the pot. They left something on, and the flame was very high, and the fire department said it was about a minute away from engulfing the kitchen and then our unit and probably a chunk of the building. And pulled the alarm, called the fire department. They came. So they gaslight you. You're just bombarded with these comments that you overhear in the lobby, like, what's wrong with people calling the fire department or making something out of nothing? It's like, hallway was filled with smoke. I'll time it just right next time. I'll stand in the hall and watch the smoke, and I'll say to myself, do I think there's a flame or not a flame? Is it a big flame, a little flame? Do I think I could put it out myself? How do I time it just right? So it's unfortunate that there's so much gaslighting. Then, another gossip, taking you out right now, parking lot.
Let's take a walk.
Let's take a walk. So we're headed out the gate here, and my dad was leaving early this morning, and he almost couldn't get the car through the area there because the whole street was flooded. So some main pipe burst. So these rentals are pretty new. I call it some weird timing. Ever since these rental buildings went up, the electric in our building fails often, and a lot of times our water doesn't work, different issues. So they had to turn off the water for our building for a few hours unexpectedly because something burst. And it's just an odd coincidence that it's ever since these rentals went up that we've had constant problems with water issues, electrical issues, and water has to be turned off, pipe breaks in the street, just a lot. So I'm taking a walk now because it's important to try to keep health, physical and mental health.
The Amazon truck can't get up.
The Amazon truck's having difficulty. I love the Amazon truck.
It can't go.
You never knowing when my package is coming. My dad pointed out that they had to put these signs all over because the water ran this way, and I'm assuming it was all backed up, contaminated. So if you were walking here with a dog or something, you couldn't let them touch the water. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Check out my other videos. I have Patreon channel memberships, And I will see you again in my next video, and bye.